draining the transmission now. That's what's going on with the bucket. I got a few of the bell housing bolts out, got the slave cylinder out, got the electronics disconnected, like your brake lights and stuff, and reverse lights. Well, reverse, not brake. Oh, what else would be in there? There's 2 plugs. The fluid coming out is very, very shiny. A lot of metal flake in there. I was gonna use it to try to clean out the other transmission, but now that it's got all that metal flake in there, I don't think I'm actually gonna do that to clear the dirt out of the other one. I think I'll just use some MT85 that I have sitting in a bucket. It's basically brand new. I pulled it out of an NV4500 because I didn't like the way it was shifting. And it's just been sitting there, so I'm not gonna use it on anything because it's got paint in it now, like a little bit of paint dust. So we'll let that drain out. I haven't dropped the cross member yet. I just did the lower bell housing bolts. I am now going to get my transmission jack under here, and then I will get rid of that cross member, and then I'll see if I can get a better angle on the bolts holding the back end of the drive shaft on. If not, I'll just leave that on there for now. So I'll let that drain out, and then we can continue removing. Okay, that was a little rough, but we got them out. Just me today, so I had to use my lift and one of the arms with some ratchet straps to take the transmission and transfer case off of my high lift jack, since I can't really pick it up when it's that high up. And I'll probably do the same to get this new, to me, one on the lift. But a couple differences I'm noticing. The plug for what I'm assuming is the 4-wheel drive indicator. That looks like the wire is snapped off on the new one, but I can easily just pull that plug and swap it over. It looks the same. I do not see what I'm assuming is the reverse indicator. It's on the driver's side of the old one, and there's a bung right where that was that says do not remove. So I don't see any other wires on this guy. Oh, I bet it's up here. Yeah, I bet that's it, right by the shifter. So I'll look into that more and see if that's interchangeable. But otherwise, the bell housing looks the same, the length looks the same. The cases are not exactly the same. I'm gonna try to pull a number off of this one, see what year it's out of and what it came from. I did not get the transfer case shifter with this newer transmission, and the bolt pattern's a little bit different. On the current one, it's smaller, and this one, it's a bit bigger. But I think I can just pull a snap ring and install this shifter into this housing, and that might work. One looks a little more raised than the other, so I don't know. Otherwise, I could just use this transfer case. I don't think that had any problems. It did get stuck in between gears one time when we were trying to tow the thing out because it wouldn't roll all of a sudden, but after fiddling with it, we were able to get it back into like 2-wheel drive or something. So I don't think there's anything wrong with this transfer case, but the speedometer looks like it's gonna be easy to just swap right over. I just gotta pull an adapter off of this one. I assume this is out of a newer truck. I think that's why it's got like a VSS module, I think is what that little electronic box on the end of the speedometer is. And I have swapped a transmission, manual 5-speed, out of a 22 RE 92 4Runner into a different automatic 4Runner I had, and that swapped in no problem. So I think that's probably likely what this is out of. But otherwise, I still gotta count the splines, but the run out of the input shaft, wow, that's almost dead flush. That looks pretty much dead. Oh man, maybe a 1/4 inch in. So I think that's the same. I gotta count the splines on it and then swap over the throwout bearing and all that jazz. And I do want to clean this one off. All the holes are filled with dirt, and then clean out the insides of this transmission. But otherwise, they look the same. So I'll start fiddling with that and try to get everything cleaned up. Try to scrape all the gasket off the timing cover deal, and then contemplate the oil pan thing. I'm a little beat right now. I do not feel like removing the engine just to pull that oil pan, but we will see. Okay, YouTube. All right, there is an oil pan and an oil pickup and all the oil pan bolts. So I took the pan off. It sucked, terrible. Terrible job. I had to pull the engine. I ditched both motor mount bolts on either side and then ripped it up about 4 or 5 inches, and then I was able to snake the pan off over the diff, third member here, but not without removing the oil pickup tube. Those have to come out together. You don't need to remove the oil pickup tube for this job, but you cannot get the oil pan out unless I was gonna drop the third member or like fully pull the engine, the differential, third member differential, same deal. So that's all good. This should go back together pretty easily now. I do have a rear main seal for the back. So I'll do that while I'm in here, but this should be pretty darn all right. I'll show you the part numbers for the gaskets that I got, in case you guys are wondering. Oh, wrong spot. Wrong night, man. So I got the wrong bolts from Ace, wrong thread pitch, so that's awesome. Here's the part number for the gasket set. It's like $9 from O'Reilly or Advanced Autos, where I got it from, Fel Pro Set. It's got the front main seal, it's got the oil pump gasket, it's got the water pump gasket, and the timing cover gasket. So the only thing I gotta make or still get is the gasket for my oil pickup now, right on that end, because I had to take that off. The rear main seal is right there. It's a national part number. Still got to get some more of the correct size bolts for my timing cover. But really, I'm just going to let everything drip for a bit, and then I will clean it all off with brake clean tomorrow and get ready to place stuff in. So from some research online, I didn't find any numbers on these, but I believe this is like a R150 is the original one, and like the 151F is the one that I got. And it looks like it's got the transfer case right here, shifter for the transfer case, and has a block off plate for like the normal transfer case that would be in an 87 4Runner. These look the exact same transfer cases. This one just, I guess the 151F transmission, it's got the shifter for the transmission a little farther forward, like maybe 2 inches or so. It shouldn't cause a problem in my body. If not, I'll just open the hole up a bit. I think that shouldn't be a problem. But it also has the shifter right there as like an option. But I think I'm just gonna utilize this one. It looks a little awkward, like it's gonna be spaced back. But my shifter, looking at it, I think it's gonna line right up and shift into there and make this guy work and be in the factory location, like my truck currently is. I just gotta make a block off plate for this, clean out all the dirt from this guy, and it's stuck in like 4-wheel drive right now. It might be 4 high or 4 low, but I don't know. I don't think this shifter's long enough to actuate this one. I'll have to take the plate off and see if I can work it around, but right now I cannot. It's stuck in some sort of 4-wheel drive, and I don't know how these two work together. I don't know if I can just put the shifter in there and then shift it out. Maybe this controls that, and it probably does. So I'll figure that out tomorrow before I toss it back in there. I haven't counted the splines yet, but the internet told me that the 151F will fit in behind the 22RE, so I assume I don't have any issues with pilot bearings or input shaft length. I think that's about it. You know, I had to remove a lot of stuff. The starter, the little steering stabilizer, but I did get the engine out. So. Let's seal up this turd. Got the new bolts that I needed that were missing for my timing cover from Ace. They had them all. Whoops. Gonna have to use some washers to space a few things out to make them the right length, but that shouldn't be a problem. I don't think it'll interfere with anything. That diagram from 6 Car Garage was super helpful online. It's on YouTube. Check that out if you're in this situation. So I'm gonna clean off every surface. That'll take me a while. Now you guys see that ratchet strap there. The rating on that ratchet strap is 1,000 pounds. The engine probably weighs 350. So I'm taking my chances. A buddy of mine borrowed my chain and did not give it back when he returned the engine hoist. I gotta track that down, but for now, this is what we're dealing with. Okay, now the back of that rocker arm bolt is hitting that thing. Yeah, now you can see that there's room down here for me to snake in the oil pan. See if I can get you. I'll move this guy out the way. Put you guys right there. And watch that magic happen. What? Okay, the oil pan is now down in there. It's kind of ready to be bolted up, but we do need to lower. I'm gonna lower the engine and do the timing cover first, since I'm more concerned with that being in the way with the oil pan, because it kind of bolts up and squishes to it, I think. So I am going to lower the engine back down, do my timing cover. I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it. Maybe I will do the oil pan now. In any case, I gotta hook up the pickup tube. I gotta put my gasket in there and hook that up. I'm gonna shut the camera off for right now though. Is buttoned up and torqued down on the timing cover. I think it went on pretty well. I saw the gasket splooge out in, you know, a lot of the areas, so I think we got pretty good contact and I think everything's seated correctly. Now I need to lift the engine back up so I can situate, put the oil pan on, and then finish that last area of the timing cover. But really it's just putting the oil pan on everything's done on the timing cover part for the most part. Here's what this looks like. Just cleaning off the surface, getting ready for the gasket maker. There is the bead of silicone on the pan. I just reached under there and squirted it on. Now, the only thing fancy I did here is I put a little bit of grease on the shaft for the harmonic balancer before I slid it in there. That way the seal's not just dry starting up. No. I guess I could do the main bolt here. Put a little bit of Loctite on it. Okay, let's finish up that last one. There you go, all torque to spec. Exactly how Toyota intended it. Well, that's not cool. How did I get this thing on here? In the first place. Unless it's not seated, but I didn't have to use a bearing puller or anything to take that on or off, so that's how I'm gonna torque it down. I'm cranking the engine over by hand just to make sure that I don't have any valves hitting pistons. This 22RE is an interference engine, but I did not mess with the crankshaft or the timing chain at all. I was just near it, so this really should not have gotten out of order. It's got good compression. Okay, right back up to top dead center. We went around once or twice, and I didn't feel anything binding. Engine top end is all buttoned back up. Got a big sign telling me to add oil. I'll probably still forget. Well, I guess the front of it's not. I'm just gonna set the radiator back in here and then fire it up like that, just to make sure I don't have any major oil leaks, but I need to put the transmission and the starter back in before I can do that. And these guys are of course a project in and of themselves. Well, yeah, I gotta clean all this crap up, so start doing that. Here's the magic. I'm thinking it's gonna work out. I took the shift fork out of the original, I guess, mounting tower from the transmission transfer case that came out of my truck. The transfer case transmission combo that I got, it came with this one. I cleaned it off already. Both these pieces I did, they were really muddy and gritty and dirty. It came with a different tower, different bolt patterns. They will not, I couldn't just use the old shift fork on the new transmission transfer case combo, even though they're the same thing, but it just came apart with a little snap ring. It's right here. And this new one, well, the old shift fork fits right in there, and I think I'm gonna be able to slide the snap ring and basically put this shift fork in this housing and then run it. It looks like it's the right depth, same deal. I'm assuming they used the same stuff, but I just wanna grease this guy up a bit. So before I do that, so I'll just try my best to get a bunch down in there. It's a bunch of old grease and then rust and dirt that was sitting in here, kinda. It's still a little bit gritty, but much better than before. Put a bunch on here since this is where all the friction and movement happens when you're shifting in and out. Then I'll get some on the shift fork side, but that I don't think matters as much. That'll be down in the transfer case. I guess I was out of the camera the whole time. Genius. So I'll try to rub the rest where this thing's going. It's probably a bit overkill, but it should work. And then this guy, I mean, I think it can only go in one way. And I don't think it would matter if it was flipped like 180 or anything. I don't think it's gonna matter. But I should be able to get this back out if needed. Now I gotta find a way. I think I'm gonna have to put it up on some 2x4s or 4x4s so that the fork isn't in the way. Got the shifter installed and I put the block off plate and everything works. So I think we're good here with this little shifter moved over. It's perfect. We're in 4 low right now. I mean, it's very heavy. This would be neutral. I mean, they're kind of hanging out together. But when I spin the input shaft transmission, it doesn't do anything. This I think is 4 high. They're still locked together. There's just not as much weight behind it. That gear's not reduced. We go over and forward, and this is 2-wheel drive. I can hold that front shaft, it doesn't do anything. And this one's here. So everything transfer case wise is working. Everything looked good in here. I cleaned out this hole. So now I'm gonna pop this off. I'm gonna make a new gasket with gasket maker underneath here. Then we'll leave that in 2-wheel drive. I'm gonna pop the tower shifter off for the transmission and try to clean that out as much as possible. And then we can flush some lube through it and then swap over our clutch, our fork, a little alignment dowel for the starter, that stuff. I have the fork, the dust boot, throwout bearing, retaining clips, everything. I kind of cleaned this inside of the bell housing out a little bit. Cleaned out all the threads on the bell housing. I will grease the splines and this tip of the input shaft, but I did kind of polish those up with some emery cloth just to get the light surface rust off. I found what I believe to be the broken off reverse sensor, so I'll see if that will interchange from the other one. I flipped over the 4-wheel drive sensor. I'm about to flush the fluids. I swapped over the transfer case deal for the speedometer cable. I really probably didn't have to. I could have just taken this adapter off for I think like a VSS, a later model deal. But this thing was real, like it doesn't seat in there well. I think the gasket's a little bit dried up. Just gotta do the alignment stud for the starter. And then I can stab this guy in. Yeah, I had to go beast mode on that thing and just toss everything in. The only thing that still hasn't been hooked up underneath is the a front drive shaft. About 4 quarts, 4.5 or 4.25 quarts. There's 2, 10 weight 30. Time to spill it. Oh. Okay, well, tell me if it starts. Had to jump the battery, the fuel pump in the diagnostic port. It wasn't so bad for the first start. Didn't want to run it for too long because I don't have any water pump's not hooked up, none of the belts are on, and the radiator's not on. It looked a little shaky over here, but I will have to dial in the timing. I will have to figure out why the fuel pump doesn't run. But that was good. It sounded like we're hitting all fours. The main thing there that I wanted to test out was, so that first test drive went really well. I'm happy. It got into every gear. I didn't notice any notchiness. I have MT85 in there. It's not the right weight fluid, but it is a GLP4 or whatever they call that stuff. There's no sulfur in it, so it should be better for the synchros. I don't know what tore up the last one, but I was able to catch all gears, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. I didn't try reverse, but I caught every other gear. Didn't notice any grinding. I'm on a lift, so the wheels are just spinning back there. You couldn't see them, and I don't have the front drive shaft hooked up, so I don't know about four-wheel drive. But everything was spinning the wheels correctly, and I could feel it want to bog the engine down when I shifted into a higher gear because I wasn't really revving it up that high or spinning the wheels that much. So, and I had oil pressure. That one, and I didn't in the beginning. It took a second for the pump to prime, but by the second time I got back in the truck, there was oil pressure. Not a ton, but there was some. And by golly, I don't see any major oil leaks. But I did have a check engine light. I had a lot of lights. Oh, you know what? Because the alternator's not hooked up. I think Toyota throws every light on the dash when your alternator's going out. I had that happen on my 87 SR5 before. That was an automatic, but still, it did that. And I got almost every light on the dash, I think, coming on when I was in there. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with that. I don't see any leaks from this dang timing cover yet either, or the oil pan. Now, it didn't get up to temperature, but it wasn't knocking, and we had oil pressure, which is good. I'll have to check the timing just to confirm that it's where it wants to be. That's probably why it was stuttering a bit, but the fuel pump primed. I gotta figure that out too, because the fuel pump, I've got it jumped in the diagnostic port. So, overall though, pretty good first run. Here on the passenger side, your little diagnostic port. You can see down in there it says like FP and then B+. I have those terminals jumped with a safety pin. So that's what's running my fuel pump, because it's not coming on just when I turn the key on. But the ignition switch in this thing something's messed up with it. It doesn't really work. I can get the key out, but when I pull it out, once you go back to the lock position, you cannot get it back to the accessory or starting it unless I use a pair of pliers and hold it way down on the neck here and really crank on it. And it's all chewed up. You can see somebody's been monkeying with it, and the key kind of is like twisted from being cranked on. Oh, it's bent up pretty good. So something's going on there. That may have something to do with my fuel pump. I don't think so. There's a bunch of funky wiring going on in there. There's a new ignition, an ignition switch that came with it. I tested all the four-wheel drive options when I was playing with this thing on the ground, and it worked. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. And I didn't hear any funky noises coming from this stuff. And I still think there's some rocks in there, so I'm going to drive this stuff around for maybe 50 miles or so, and then I will go change everything. Now, this being an R151F transmission, this didn't ever come in a 4Runner, a first-gen 4Runner, I don't believe. So, basically, this is neutral. Might be hard to show you, but you're pretty darn close, and if I want to go to, like, first, clutch. I can barely fit a finger in between the dash. Same thing with third. Third gear, my finger cannot fit through here. So there's not great clearances. The shifter on this 151F is much farther forward, same with the transfer case. This is where the transfer case typically was, and this is where the transmission was. So basically what I'm thinking, I could see if the R150 transmission shifter, if I can just pop it out and slide it in there, I could see about that, but I'm not too keen on that. Really, what I would rather do is just heat this guy up in a vise and then put a heavy pipe on it here and just pry it down so that it's bent more this way coming at me instead of being all the way up here, because it's kind of awkward. And then at that rate, you know, your feet, you want to be back here to do the clutch and everything, but this thing's all the way over here and you got to stretch your arm way out. It'd be nicer if it was here. So I might try to bend that, but otherwise I'm gonna leave it like that. It caught all the gears. That was great. Fantastic first startup. I'm happy with that. I'm really happy with that. I think what I'll do now is put the rest of the front of the engine on. Yeah, I'll put the rest of the front of the engine on, hook the belts up. Hopefully they have the belts, they're in the back. Hopefully all that stuff's there. And then I'll probably put the front drive shaft on, and then I'll make sure it's safe to drive it with the battery fuel pump jumped like this, but then I want to drive it around, test it out, make sure the transmission does work and doesn't grind and have issues. And if that goes well, then I will start working on figuring out the fuel pump and then getting to do the paint and the body work on this guy. Okay, bear with me on the noise. I'm draining the air compressor, but phase 1 of the Toyota is pretty much done. I set the timing back to 5 or 8 degrees advanced, and it's running pretty good, not misfiring. The fuel pump seems to be kicking on without the diagnostic port jump. It's just quiet. I don't hear it, which is fine by me. It's getting power. It's not overheating. I filled up the radiator. You know what? Let me show you the final product of my real cheapy little custom bracket for the power steering pulley. It's right down there. It's just that flat piece of steel and then washers, and then I had this little pulley that's spaced out a bit that came with it. But you could grab any pulley, and it's not terribly strong or anything. That's probably 1/8 inch, and it's steel, and it's holding that perfectly. Nothing's wobbling. It runs pretty well. So I'm gonna call that on phase 1 of the 4Runner, and we will test out the transmission in the next one. All right, let's see. Apologize in advance, I didn't take you on the test drive. Clearly I've moved on to something else. The test drive went pretty well. I was happy with everything. Now I'm moving on to the body work, and I'm not gonna take you through this step by step because I've done it a couple times on some videos, and I think it's kind of boring, but you know, as you can see, we're cleaning up some of the area, just some dents and dings. There's really no rust on this thing whatsoever. Just the front passenger fender is dented up and crinkled a bit, so I have a new one ordered. I'm not going to rework that. But otherwise, we're just sanding, scuffing everything. I got new graphics from Phoenix Graphics that'll be on there. Stick around to see what color it is. I got my flaps for the shade. It's about 90 degrees today, and I'm in all black. Smart. Just didn't want to catch too much of a sunburn. So, you know what? One thing I will show you on this side, we had a hole over here beneath the gas tank, so that I did have to lay down some filler in there. Oh, I had to weld in a whole new panel. I bought a brake from Harbor Freight to bend the sheet metal, and then I just had to put some filler there, so we'll go ahead and work on continuing to sand that out. Got more of the body work done. It's going pretty smoothly, nothing to really report here. Got the new piece welded in on the other side as well. I did get a new fender that showed up in the mail. It's on Amazon. If you guys comment below, it was the cheapest one I could find across everybody. Don't trust Jegs. They were the cheapest when you search them online, but when you go to check out, they're charging 50 bucks for shipping, $59 for shipping, and then also a $23 oversize fee. So, and they don't show it to you until like you have to open a bunch of stuff. Don't use Jegs. Amazon was the cheapest. I could show you the panel. I'll let you know if it fits well. We're moving along here. This side with the new panel that I put in, and I had to recreate some body lines. I think they turned out real nicely. Nice enough, not perfect, but they'll work for me. panels on. Looks great. I'm really happy with the fitment and everything. It's the cheapest one on Amazon. I can link it below if you guys want me to. Let me know in the comments. Sanded the hood down, primered it. Everything's just gonna get a 400 or a 600 grit coat right now. And then we can clean up the inside jam, start taping, and get ready to spray. Took the cowl off as well. Well, it's mostly taped up and prepped. Still got to clear everything. I don't know what to say, what to tell you. You've seen the taping before, I believe, so nothing crazy here. We will we'll spray some color on it in the next clip. So this next part, the camera didn't record any audio. So there's not gonna be any more audio for the rest of the video. The clips are pretty self-explanatory. I might jump in here and there for the voiceover, but we're just applying decals here. These are from Phoenix Graphics. They're the stock SR5 in silver. Here's how they went on. They didn't match dead perfect. That kind of came back to bite me a little bit because I didn't put a ton of effort into sanding off all of the decals, the original ones, because I thought these exact OEM replacements would match well enough, and I didn't order them before sanding and doing the paint, so that was on me. But you know, other than that, the graphics, they look great. They went on pretty easily, and nothing really to report there. So I'm gonna play some music. My older brother makes the music. His band and his channel should be linked here on the channel. If you want any more information about the specific song or anything about the artist, let me know, comment below, and I'll give you all that information. Otherwise, sit back and enjoy some average quality time-lapse.
Me back before I get us killed. I've got an ego, and it do what it will. Hold me down before I find a fight. I've got a hunger, and I'm mad with all my might. Looks like trouble.
Here's the final product for this video. I did do more to it. You'll see that in future videos, but this is where I'm gonna end this video. I'm pretty happy with the way everything turned out. I think the black paint looked great. Clear coat came out fine. I didn't cut, wet sand, or buff anything on it. And there's minimal orange peel or dry spray. I thought it looked great. The graphics look awesome in my opinion. Yeah, I'll give you a quick walk around on this one, and we'll play some music, and then we'll check in on the next video to see what else we do with it.